Now then, guys, welcome back to the Cycle Sunday podcast. And we're actually starting to get a bit of a trio going on here because I've got Paul in Edinburgh and the lovely Natalie's joined us again, back by popular demand.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Can you guess who? Can you guess who was who?
Well, yeah,
I hope so.
There's a bit of a difference in depth
Accent.
of voice, mate.
In
An
tone.
accent, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know you've lived in Scotland a long time, but you've not really nailed the accent, whereas Natalie pretty much has nailed the accent.
Yes.
I'd hope so.
Yes. How are you,
So-
Mr. Greaves?
Yeah, very good, mate. Very good. Like you, really, really busy.
Yes.
But I've been enjoying the Olympics. We've got plenty to talk about this week.
Yep.
But the first thing we need to talk about is in last week's podcast, obviously we talked, Natalie, to you about what it's like being a pro triathlete.
Yep.
And you said that you were running the first competitive 5K or you wanted to go for your PB since you had a baby. And everybody just wants to know how fast you did it.
You should do a drum roll.
Oh,
Drum roll.
Should be a drum roll. Hang on.
Have you not
that's
got a
that one,
drum
isn't
roll
it?
on your machine?
I do. And actually, just a big shout out because that was one of the comments one of the questions in the comments from last week was from the Ostlers. So
Yeah.
big shout out to the Ostlers for asking what time it was. So I think without further ado,
Yes.
from Natalie for her first 5K since Lachlan's birth, what
Yes.
was the time?
That's
that
the
was-
wrong kind of
No,
drum
that was the
roll,
wrong
mate.
one, wasn't it?
Seriously, it's not.
Yeah. Oh, no.
You just give him all the toys, and he's just.
All the toys
How
and no
fast-
idea.
How
Yeah.
fast did you do it?
Yeah,
Nat?
just how fast?
18 minutes and
Thanks.
7 seconds.
18 minutes and 7 seconds. Well, one thing we
And you're-
can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, your previous best was about 18:30 something, wasn't it? Did you say?
No, it was actually 17:37.
Oh,
and
17:37.
well, yeah, no. That's when that's when I looked back. And actually, if you look at my GPS data, the GPS
Yeah.
data says I equaled my PB, but because it was 7 laps round a high school, they say that the GPS is a bit dodgy. So either
Right.
way, I'm just happy with how I ran. And
Either way, you ran it in 18. I mean, when I used to do park run, I was always happy to break half an hour. so to do 18 minutes, that's good. Good.
talking
form.
of park run's coming back to Scotland.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
From when?
Yeah.
I just saw something on Facebook about 14th of August, hopefully for Midlothian.
Yay.
So Lachlan's first
Amazing.
buggy park run's
I'm not-
coming up.
I think it started back in the
Yeah, it
in
has.
England already. I think.
Yeah, it has,
Right.
but it's just not in Scotland. A bit of a slower uptake in Scotland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is there a class for buggy running?
No,
Oh.
or running with dogs. Sorry to offend anybody with who runs with dogs, but I once got beaten by somebody who was running with a dog who I knew how to beat without the dog. So
Oh, you mean those people who like hook a dog to the front of their like belty
Uh-huh.
thing and then get pulled along by the dog?
yes,
Oh.
Well,
and
or
there's no.
we used to run. I used to run with one of our schnauzers with Darcy, and it was more a case of hook yourself to the dog and pull the dog along.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the people who turn up with like a couple of Siberian huskies, and they've got a big bungee cord stuck on the front, and they just get dragged along.
I've just got this image of Darcy just behind, like, just being dragged along.
Darcy, we don't run with her anymore because she's a bit old. Hallie's really, really good at running. I'll run with her quite a lot out the back.
Oh, right.
She's good. She kind of trots along. After about a minute, she kind of realises, we're going on a run, and then just trots along next door and really flushes out pheasants and stuff.
Yeah. But it's not just this side of the screen that has been competitive female activities over the last week, is it?
And it was a bizarre segue, actually, because last week we were talking a bit about triathlons and trying out triathlons and stuff.
Yes.
And then completely unconnected, I was away at the weekend.
Yep.
And Tracy, Mrs. Petroped, saw that the local leisure centre had a triathlon.
Brilliant.
Where you could go along and give it a sample, a little taste. And it wasn't a particularly long one. It was, I think, 200 or maybe 400 metre swim it was, I think, 5K on the bike and a couple of K run. It wasn't. It was just a nice little taster event to see what it was like. And yeah, she really, really enjoyed it. Got herself a little medal, and I'm
Brilliant.
really proud. Although I was, I was more proud of the fact that she managed to get the bike off the wall in the garage where it's stored, put air in the tyres, so worked out how to use a Presta valve and me track pump, and managed to get
probably
the
from
bike
one
in the
of our
back of the car.
videos.
Yeah, I'm sure. And yeah, so she's brilliant. She obviously didn't ride it on her e-bike.
Hashtag flagged.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like, but no, she really enjoyed it, and now she's looking at trying to do some more. And well, it's quite funny considering we were talking last week about brick training and how difficult it is running off of the bike.
Yes,
that's the one thing she said was she came in off the bike and then went for a run, and her legs just were like, "What are you doing?" Because not done any training for her or anything. And I said that the only way you get used to that is
training.
Practice is doing it, training, and getting your body used to doing it.
Yep. Well done. Well done, her.
Yeah, good
That's
job.
Brilliant.
Yeah, just seeing it and going on and just biting the bullet and just go for it.
Yes.
Yeah, it was brilliant. She didn't tell. I got home from the weekend and she there was a medal on the side. I'm like, where's that from? And she went, did a triathlon today. I was like, what?
Yeah.
So yeah, no, really, really cool. And she really enjoyed it. Said everyone was really friendly, and it's just, I think it was just a really good example. We talked a few times about people just going out and having a go at something, whether it's a triathlon or a sportif or a fun run, park run. We used to do park run a lot, and then Tracy's ankle, she's got a bad ankle which doesn't really deal with running very well. So we kind of stopped doing park run, but we used to love doing park run. And every sort of 4 or 5 weeks we'd not run, we'd do the marshalling thing to kind of help out. And it was
great.
Yeah, really, really cool.
Yeah.
So
so
I think I might have a triathlete in the house. You never know. She might get out there and do some more.
But that is the thing about, I think what I'm most proud of with Tracy is that just physically waking up in the morning, seeing an event and going, do you know what? Without any planning at all, I'm just going to go and do it.
Yeah,
That's
she's
just
not trained for it, and just to go and
and
enjoy it as well.
And enjoy it.
Get hooked.
Exactly. And I think actually part of it was the no planning, no anticipation. It was just do it. So she didn't really have that much time to think about it. She rang Dan just to check what the PSI should be in the tyres of the bike. So she got the right pressure in the tyres.
Yeah.
And off she went. Amazing.
Brilliant.
It was just really, really cool. So
fantastic.
So I think she's going to be looking out and doing a bit more of that, which is ace.
Yes.
Really good. But I'm sure if people are listening, if you look in, I mean, our local leisure centre does quite a few kind of triathlon events at varying distances and stuff.
Yeah.
So it was an indoor pool swim, but I think the other thing that was a 50-metre pool. So that was like, it's a big pool.
Because
if you've not swum in an Olympic pool before, and
quite daunting.
Swimming on like a 20-metre pool, you're swimming along and you're thinking, hold on a minute, I should have got to the end by now. I've still got half the pool left.
Yeah. Because the Commonwealth pool, isn't it, in Edinburgh?
That's 50, that can be 50 metre or 25.
Or 25. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So she's gonna have a chat with the guy who I had my swimming lessons with when I did my triathlon, just to get her swimming a bit more confident. She doesn't do front crawl, so she wants to kind of do that. A bit like me, really. When I entered my first triathlon, I could do front crawl, but I got so tired so quickly because the technique was rubbish. But yeah, no, I was super proud.
I don't blame you. That could be a good Cycle Sunday video segment, couldn't it? Is Natalie doing a swimming coaching session to Tracy?
It could be, yeah.
Yeah.
Need to find a pool.
Yeah.
Or a loch.
A loch.
Yeah.
A loch.
Yeah. Do that in October.
No thanks.
So anyway, one of the things I really wanted to talk about tonight is, obviously, when we first started the podcast, the reason for it was to nerd out on bike tech, having watched the Cycle Sunday videos. And I, obviously, we last week we were talking about the Olympics, and I've been tuning into the various British successes in the Olympics, and on bikes we've been doing pretty good.
Yes.
I guess we should, before we get onto the bike tech nerdy track stuff, the BMX, the our gold in the BMX.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Brilliant, isn't it?
I don't understand how you do a backflip on a bike anyway.
No.
But to have tried that in her first run and dropped it and fell off, and then just gone for it again in a second run and landed it for the first time ever in female competition.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah. It was just absolutely brilliant. It was so exciting. And, you know, you never, ever like to see a loser, but to see the face on the American who...
The pressure got to her, didn't it?
The pressure got to her.
And she just like, she let the pressure, whereas
because
the British girl didn't. She just, you know, I know I can do this. She's always practiced and didn't let the pressure get to her and just knew how much that medal meant to her.
Yes. Yeah.
Because the American's first run was quite good, wasn't it? And it was a good score. And she like threw a bike down. It's like, and then our girl went out and smashed it.
Yes. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. But you just got the impression that the American did the first run, absolutely nailed it. Did brilliant. I mean, she was, you know, let's not beat about the bush. She's incredibly talented girl, right? Yeah. But you could almost tell that was pretty much she'd left everything on the course.
Yeah.
So she had a really good sort of banker run, and then all she had to do pretty much was nail that run again, and no one else was close to her. And then Charlotte just sent this routine and just nailed every single one, and just the look of despair on that American, because I think she just basically looked at it and went, there is nothing I can do to beat that run now.
No.
So well done.
And she tried. And obviously fell off.
But I mean, genuinely well done. But I mean, what a name, Charlotte. And you almost, with her name, you almost think, BMX, she should be sort of getting the gold in dressage or something like that. I am Charlotte Worthington of the Worthington.
And I ride BMX.
The thing that impresses me about, actually, it's the BMX, the skateboarding's the same, is the commentators. The way so they'll on the BMX, they'll go up like a half pipe, go into the air, flick round a few times and land it, and the commentators will instantly go, oh yeah, it's a backside 360 with whatever. And there's all these names for these different maneuvers, and I haven't got a clue what's going on. I don't do BMX, but it amazes me how they know which one's which.
Here's an interesting one. What happened really to BMX? Now, I'm 43.
Yeah.
And when I was growing up in Lancashire, I had my BMX. So it was my first bike, my first new bike that my dad bought me. And it was a rally styler. And it was there you go.
I don't know what that is, by the way.
Exactly. Natalie's just sort of like...
You probably don't even know what rally is.
They're a bike brand.
Yeah.
In the UK.
Yeah. They were the bike brand. I mean, I lived in Nottingham, the home of rally, and it was like the bike brand.
But did you have a BMX?
No, because I got a grifter literally 6 months before BMXs came out.
There we go.
And that was my bike for my childhood.
What's a grifter?
I think...
Yeah, because you... right.
A big heavy thing that...
Oh, but like my mountain bike then.
Yeah. So you're, 4, 5 years older than I am? Yeah. So you got grifted just before BMX sort of hit the streets.
Burners came
rally
out.
burners and then rally stylers and all that sort of stuff. And Mongoose was quite big then as well.
Yeah.
I got my BMX.
PK Ripper.
Yeah. And I had proper spoke wheels instead of mags. Mags were the sort of plastic 5-spoke things. And
no, you want Skyway mags.
Yeah. And also, who remembers, and Natalie's just basically sort of switching off and glazed over here, but who remembers BMX Bandits?
Oh, yeah. What film?
And that was the first film for Nicole Kidman. Yes. So the girl in BMX Bandits was Nicole Kidman, and everybody wanted to basically ride like the BMX Bandits until Simon Whitworth one day dared me to do the steps at Leyland Leisure Centre, which was like 8 or 10 steps, and I flipping launched it off the top of these steps, touchdown, bars went round, I went over the front and chipped my tooth. There we go.
I wasn't. Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. We had the same kind of. I just missed out on the BMX thing, but I had friends with ultra burners with mags, and it was just one of those cool things. Yeah. And I remember going to watch. Was it Andy Ruffle? He was like the kind of big BMX guy at the time. I don't know. I think not long after that, mountain bikes came out, and that probably it gave you other options. When we were kids, it was BMX. That's a few people rode road bikes, but not really. It was BMXs is what you had. Mountain bikes didn't exist.
That's right.
And then mountain bikes came along, and I think that kind of just distilled it a bit. But obviously, it's still there, and I've got a couple of friends who do a lot of it. And although it was really funny, I was talking to someone, and he just described it. He said, "Did you see that? Did you see the bike racing? The big guys on the kiddies' bikes?" And I'm like, I'm not so sure you meant to kind of call it that. But
so here we go. Let's go around the room here, and let's put this out to the comments as well. Your first mountain bike. What was your first mountain bike? Go, Pete.
I had.
Yeah.
It was a Tushingham B52, which I think was like an orange frame.
Yeah.
I bought it secondhand.
Right.
I went to buy it and put it in the car to drive away, and my mate who was with me went, "You do realise this bike's probably been nicked?" And I was like, "Yeah, probably." And it was all right. And then it got nicked from me at university, and then I bought a Claude Butler.
Right.
A Claude Butler Volante.
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 So yours was a Tushingham. Then, can you remember your first bike, Natalie?
I'm actually having to Google because I don't know. It was a specialised women specific of some sort. It was just a hardtail. And then I went and got a specialised Epic after that. I saved up my money from working and got a specialised Epic. Yeah. And then went to Trek from there.
Yes, that's interesting. So my first bike was a Peugeot. Oi! You're horrible to me. It's bullying. It's bullying on the radio. So my first bike was a Peugeot Laser 10. So it was a 10-speed, and the front gears, which was obviously just like a double, was friction gears. But the first, my rear gears was the first SIS, so Shimano indexing system that went click, click, click through the gears. Cool. Was the first SIS, and it was using over-the-bar thumb shifters. There you go, 10-speed, 26-inch wheel, V brakes, steel frame.
Nice.
Did miles on that bike. And typically, my dad said, "There you go, son, there's your new bike. Don't worry, you'll grow into it." Well, Dad, I never did. I never grew into it.
We don't do growing into bikes, do we, Paul?
No. There we go.
But no, BMX is one of those things because it's as a I think we mentioned it last week. It's a lung busting sport. I mean, you look at the power they're putting through the pedals and stuff.
Yeah.
I did have to laugh today. I was watching the sprint from the velodrome there, Chris Hoy commentating the sprint, and the girl who's doing the kind of hosting kind of just said, "Oh, what kind of power are they putting out?" And Chris Hoy went, he said, this, if people are riding like Peloton bikes and Watt bikes and stuff, this will probably mean something to them. But the top guys will be putting out 2,600 watts.
Oh.
And I'm like, hold on a minute. I can't even do 260 watts.
I know. Did you not say to me that, did Chris Hoy break Zwift or something like that?
Oh, yeah, he did. Yeah. So because he started doing some stuff, and Zwift had a 2,000 watt limit. So if you basically feed into stuff from your power meters and it goes above 2,000 watts, it kind of doesn't work. So they had to change Zwift to allow more than 2,000 watts.
That's hilarious.
That's brilliant. That's absolutely fantastic.
It's like a lot.
Yeah.
It's just
yeah.
But anyway,
Yes.
talking about track bikes.
Yes.
Okay, because I mean, obviously the track cycling started. We've had great stuff on the road, and we've BMXing and mountain biking and triathlon and stuff. But the track cycling started, and I kind of sat down, tuned into the track cycling, and the first Brit that came out on the track, the first thing I said was, "Oh my God, look at the bike," because the British bikes are unbelievable. I'm sure you've seen the pictures and stuff. And literally instantly I had to go on to Google and just find out and nerd out about them because they just looked amazing.
Yeah.
And if anyone listening hasn't picked it up watching it, because you could probably miss it if you weren't. I love track bikes anyway. I like watching to see what the different, because every Olympics Team GB's come out with some incredible technology. I guess it dates back to Chris Boardman with the original Lotus bike.
Yeah.
But they're always pushing the boundaries as to what's allowed.
Yeah.
But this bike, it's Lotus and Hope have worked together. So Hope, the bike builder, are they your way, Lancashire way, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah. It's commonly known as Up.
Up around you. So Up. And Lotus. Would it be Lotus?
Lotus, yeah.
Lotus, yeah. Up and Lotus. Yeah. Okay. And it's called a Hope times or Lotus times Hope HB10. I'm not quite sure what the HB10 stands
That's a
for.
pencil, isn't it? Oh no! Hey, joking apart actually, because it's carbon. So,
would that be the grade of the carbon?
Well, I don't know. Well, HB.
You're saying it's made of a pencil.
Well, that's what's in a pencil, isn't it? It's carbon.
I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, there we go. So,
but
right, HB10.
So obviously, now normally in these videos, Paul would be the technical guru feeding us information. But basically, I sent him a list or a link earlier on today to get him to do some homework, and he hasn't bothered looking at it. So I will be your guide through the technical world of things I don't really know very much about.
I'm just going to carry on drinking beer then. So thanks ever so much indeed. And by the way, it wasn't the fact that I didn't want to read what you sent through to me. I haven't had a minute.
Yes, I thought so, because you're busy selling bikes and stuff.
Yes.
But the bit, if no one's seen the bike, the bit that stands out is the fork legs and the chainstays are, instead of them normally being kind of not that far off of the wheel, they literally stick out of the side of the bike.
Yeah.
So they're in line with the rider's legs.
Yes.
So they're probably off the wheel by, I don't know, it looks like a good 6 inches, I would guess.
Yeah. 4-6 inches. Yeah.
And the idea is that the leg is a fairly big aerodynamic problem for a cyclist on a bike.
Yeah.
So they basically bring the chainstay and the forks out in line with the leg to kind of make it more of a kind of aerodynamic in line.
Yeah.
But it just looks incredible.
Yeah, because it was you started to get the curved fork leg. In fact, you've got this on your Ultra.
I was going to ask. Yeah.
So you've got that on the Ultra because the spoke, just a small aero spoke on a traditional bike wheel, causes turbulence as the wind is trying to basically eddy current around the spoke. And then you've got the airflow that's going around the fork leg, and you can then get aerodynamic disturbance between the spoke and the fork. So on road bikes, they bow the fork slightly to give a little bit more room for that turbulence to breathe effectively. And they've just taken that and turned it up to 11, haven't they? Really?
I mean, yeah. And then some. I mean, it's just the most incredible thing to look at.
Yeah, looks fantastic.
What I found really interesting was because obviously you've got all the different disciplines in the velodrome. You've got, I don't know, the sprinters and the Kieran riders. You've got the kind of, I don't know, Omnium type riders. We got a gold in the Omnium today. Awesome.
Oh, well
done. And then you've got the pursuit riders, and you think they'd all have different bikes, but they're not. It's all exactly the same frame.
Right.
And then they've just got an interchangeable cockpit where they can put different handlebar configuration depending on which discipline.
Wow.
So I thought that was really interesting. I thought the geometry of the frame would need to be different for those different things. But
And have you got prices on these?
Yeah. Well,
do you need to remortgage the house?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a couple of really cool things. So they use a very high grade carbon fiber. Apparently, the handlebar, the cockpit, you've got different configurations. You've got what they call the mass start drop bar,
Right.
which is but I don't know if you've seen the Sprinters one. It's literally, it can't be more than about 10 inches across. The hands
Wow.
are so close together, it
Yeah.
looks awful to ride. It must be really difficult to ride.
Mm.
And then they've got the Pursuit bar, which has got like aero bars on the front and stuff.
Okay.
But they're all kind of molded carbon fiber with an awful lot of 3D printing.
Right. Okay.
So there's a lot of 3D printed titanium on the bike.
Okay.
And you're just like, oh. So I am getting to the price, honestly. So we start with the cheapest item on the bike that I could find out about.
The rider.
No, the chain.
The chain. Okay.
The chain.
Right.
Okay. So the chain is it's called a Velo CTT by Ronald. Okay, or Reynolds.
Reynolds.
Okay.
Yeah.
The chain
Yeah.
is 450 quid.
So next time, dear listeners,
Yes.
you're in for a bike service, and we say that your brand new Shimano 105 chain is $36.99, and you turn round and go, how much? But I've only done 50 million miles on this, and I can't believe it's worn out by now.
Yeah.
It could be worse.
How much is your most expensive chain?
Our most expensive chain.
Yeah. So we compare it.
Yeah. She's good, isn't she?
She's good.
Yeah.
Don't tell me it's a super record EPS chain, because that's what my maintenance costs are going to be.
No, because Super Record EPS chain is about 65 quid for
that's not bad.
Yeah, for a traditional, for an original equipment Super Record chain. No, they're actually quite good. It's about 65 quid.
Mm-hmm.
But we do have some 12-speed KMC Uber Titanium Nitride Juby Jobbies that we ordered in. They are lovely. I'm going to be fitting those onto the rails, and they're about 120, 130 quid.
Wow.
And that is about as good as you can get as a 12-speed chain. They're really nice. They even come in a box, like a presentation box.
Really?
Yeah.
Which you take the chain out, put it on the bike, and throw the box away.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So I did think 450 quid for a chain was quite a lot.
Yes.
But apparently if you look at a side picture of the bike, the gap or the distance between the front chainring and the rear, it's not a cassette, but the rear cog is quite short. So they've got quite aggressive. It's all to do with the size of cogs and stuff that they can run.
Right.
So there's loads of stuff around the chain, but I did think that was a bit scary.
Yes.
The next scary bit are the wheels.
Right.
Okay. So the wheels, they've got a flat disc wheel, but the coolest thing is normally, you'll know, that the wheels are normally 2 bits and they stick the 2 bits together.
Right.
Side by side when they're carbon. These aren't. These are basically a single
Oh, they're a monocoque.
construction. They're a monocoque wheel. Yeah.
Flip.
I know.
So they're not built. So they're not built around a hub. The actual carbon hub shell and disc panels are effectively one, and then they run the bearings and the axle through the centre.
I don't know that much. But yeah, they're a monocoque wheel.
Yeah. Wow. Flip.
Which is scary.
Yeah.
So the rear disc wheel.
Yeah.
Oh, all these prices I'm giving you, by the way, are plus VAT.
Well, the chain's 430 quid plus VAT.
Yeah.
And fitting.
Yeah.
Libra.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. So the rear wheel is 2,450 quid.
That actually doesn't seem too bad now.
Right. Okay. And they're running some really special tyres. They're running Vittoria tyres.
Yes.
Yeah, Vittoria tyres. I didn't write it down what they were called, but
yeah.
But they're I think they were saying they're different volumes on the rear and the front.
Okay.
Which is a bit weird. Anyway. The front wheels, you've got a choice. You can either have a solid disc or a 3-spoke wheel.
Yeah.
And that's either £2,100 or £2,250.
Okay.
Plus VAT.
So $4,500 plus VAT for a pair of wheels.
Yeah.
But you need at least 3 for your bicycle, so you've got a choice. So it's basically $6,500 for your wheels.
Yeah. Okay. So then next, handlebars.
Yeah.
Okay. Handlebar ranges from £1,550 for the drop mass start bar to £4,000 plus VAT for the Team Pursuit bar.
Okay.
They'll be specially molded for that rider, though, will they not?
So
That price.
each bike is completely bespoke for each rider. So the not just the frame size, but how far out the fork and the chainstay is.
Oh, right.
Is,
for that.
is dependent upon the rider's legs.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Okay.
So every bike is specifically made for the rider, right? Which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then, as I said, the things like the dropouts and a few other bits, they're all 3D printed in titanium. So then the last bit is the frame.
We've not even got to the frame yet.
We haven't got to the frame yet. I left the best to last. So you get the frame, the seat post, the fork, and the stem. Okay, and that is £15,550 plus VAT for the frame.
Yeah.
You could buy a car for that.
Do you know, it's one of those things when customers come into the shop and they're looking at bikes at £2,000 and £3,000 and they go, oh, you could buy a car for that. And you go, yeah, but you wouldn't want to drive it. Okay.
Yeah.
But genuinely, the car that you could get for that, you would actually want to drive.
Well, yeah, especially if you add it all up.
Yeah.
Well, we got our car for not much more.
So if you add it all up, you're looking at somewhere in the region of 25,000 quid plus VAT. So let's say 30,000 quid between friends.
Get a GR Yaris.
You could get a GR Yaris pretty much for that.
What's that?
It's a car, Natalie.
Okay.
Well, you might struggle. They're about 35, aren't they? But you know, I just the more I read about it, the more I'm like, talk about marginal gains.
Yes.
I know it was always the Dave Brailsford mantra, marginal gains.
Yeah.
But it was just like, oh my God, that is unbelievable. I think it's the £450 chain that still is like. Oh.
Do you know what's really scary though?
What?
If each bike is molded per rider.
Yeah.
How many bikes have they got per rider?
And what happens if they crash and break their bike in half?
Well, yeah, and a few have crashed. Because the other thing I found really interesting, and I didn't know, I guess it's a bit like homologation in motorsport,
right.
But the UCI rules state that any equipment used in any world class event like the Olympics or the World Championships must be commercially available.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. Because there was a whole controversy with the Danish team were doing something to their legs. I don't know if you saw that. They're putting tape on their legs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and then the other thing is what I haven't found out, and I presume it's absorbed in that cost somewhere, is they're riding some really, really fancy cranks, pedals, and other bits of finishing kit that you just think.
Well, you've got the chain ring. The chain ring's going to be a fortune because that'll be carbon. You'll then have just a rear cog because I bet you 10 to 1 the rear cog's going to be 3D printed titanium.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's nuts. I mean, clearly it works because as I said, one of the guys has won the Omnium today, so that's amazing for him to win. And you know, I love watching the Omnium because there's so many different styles of racing, from the elimination race where they eliminate the last person every 2 laps, which just looks bloody brutal to be honest. And the scratch race and stuff. But yeah, no, absolutely amazing. And then related to the bike, but I don't know if you saw the men's sprint, where they've got the 3 guys start off. And Chris Hoy was talking about that, and I would have never known had he not picked it up. But apparently in the semis, they realised that they were up against it, and they weren't sure they had enough to beat the other team.
Right.
So they changed the gear ratios, and they decided to go for a more aggressive gear ratio, basically a smaller cog at the back, to give them higher end top speed. And the problem they had was they couldn't get it turning at the beginning. So if you watch the start, because you know they literally can't get the bike turning, and they all go off at different gaps. And the whole point is you want all 3 riders close together so you get the aerodynamic benefits. And poor old Jason Kenny at the back just couldn't get the bike going, and he was miles off the back. And you could just see. So he basically rode the sprint 3 laps on his own. He didn't have anybody in front of him because he couldn't catch up with him. So it was an element of just the wrong gear.
Yeah. And did Chris Hoy say how
and
many watts you need for how long to start that ratio off? That'd be an interesting question, wouldn't
Well,
it?
that was the conversation around the 2,500 plus watts just to get the bike moving.
Wow, really?
Just to get it moving, never alone.
Yeah.
But how long do they have to maintain 2,500 watts to actually get momentum going?
That would be interesting.
I've got no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just unbelievable athletes, aren't
absolutely.
they? And then, I mean, there's been so much action on the track. My favourite one, if you see in the team pursuit where the British rider he dropped off the back, so he wasn't in it. He was just riding along, and another team literally cycled up and just rode into it.
Yeah, I saw that.
And you could see they'd been doing that. So the front rider wasn't looking out the front of the bike; he was looking straight down in the most aerodynamic tuck he could be. But that and just looking, I guess, down through the frame at the tape on the velodrome, just following the black line, and not just assuming there's nobody in front of him, and he just rode into the back of our guy, and took him out, and then blamed the British rider for being there when he wasn't looking where he was going.
Well,
So,
and then that's racing, and then the Team GB girls, as part of the celebration, they wiped each other out as well.
And the Australian crashing because his handlebar snapped.
Oh,
did
really?
You see that?
Did you see that one?
Yeah, I saw that.
The team pursuit, he's like the back rider in the 4-man team pursuit on the gas, hits the bank, and just goes down like a sack of spuds. And you look at it, and literally the handlebar failed; it just snapped.
Wow!
Yeah.
So he's riding along at, I don't know, 40 odd, maybe 50, 60 kilometers an hour, something like that, and his handlebar snapped.
Yeah, took it all in the nose.
It took his
his
nose out.
He landed on his nose. Oh yeah, no, he got. You know when they get the burn rather than the gravel rush on his nose, he kind of landed and slowed himself down. He had this big welt on his nose. It looked really
what a shame.
No. Yeah. Did you say that?
I did. No, I did genuinely, because that flipping hurts.
I know. It's been a good.
No, but I can imagine what it feels like. I mean, I got a paper cut once, and that really hurt.
Oh yeah, I forgot you don't do.
I don't do pain.
But no, the track cycling's been good. And we've still got some days of it left. But that bike, wow. And it's a bit like, I know I've said to you a few times, I've always hankered after a TT bike or an Ironman triathlon bike because they look cool.
Yes.
And I've got no use for a £30,000 track bike, but it does look cool.
It has to be said, it looks ace on the track. But the problem is, it looks ace on the track with a track cyclist on it. If you put that bike, this is just a word to everybody out there thinking, oh, I have £30,000 disposable income, I'm going to buy one of those. Just remember that if you're not a track cyclist on that bike, you're going to look a little bit silly. Because
the other thing, I think,
it is the combination.
They don't look that easy to ride.
No, I think you have to be really skilled to actually pilot one of those things. Yeah.
Because I think just from certainly the sprint bars, they're so narrow. You look at them and they just look so unstable, and they're in such an aggressive riding position. It must take a long time just to be able to do the things they need to do. I mean, we're watching the sprint where the guys do the kind of go around really slowly and the kind of cat and mouse thing before they go, and you watch the bike handling skills they've got, and then you think, well, that's quite impressive on a track bike with no freewheel on a Olympic velodrome, but then on a bike that looks that difficult to ride as well.
But it'll be second nature to them, won't it? Because I mean, it's just like any professional athlete. If you, it's like potentially watching you in the water compared to somebody who is, just a recreational swimmer who hasn't done much. I mean, when did you start swimming?
So Natalie,
when I was 4.
When you were 4, so it's just second nature, isn't it?
Yeah, you don't think you just go in and swim. Whereas,
So did you when you did the Commonwealth and you were kind of representing Scotland and Team GB? Did you get access to any of the nice kit or get bike fits, or what kind of support did they give you from a tech point of view?
We just got the kit as such. Trying to think. The bike at that time I was sponsored by Alpine Bikes, not Criterium, because at this point Keith had he started in 2014?
Yeah,
He'd only just started, but because I
Yeah.
was previously I was with the
Yeah,
Alpine Bikes, but after that, so I was given a Trek.
You had a Madone. Madone
Yeah.
at that point, didn't you?
But no bike fitting as such. We had a mechanic. I had a team mechanic on the team, but no specialist.
No,
Because we all had it anyway. That makes sense because we're racing in wetsuits, so we've already got them. It's not.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess triathlon maybe. I mean, track cycling is like the almost the pinnacle of bike tech, really, isn't it? Because the margins are so tiny and the speeds are so high. You don't have, like you said, there's no wind in a velodrome, so it's purely about getting the bike through the air as efficiently as possible. So, but yeah, no, it was a fascinating thing. Anyway, moving on. Now I'm going to go on. Dream about
There will be somebody who goes and buys one.
Absolutely no use to me.
Oh
whatsoever.
yeah, there'll be a ton of people buying them, I would imagine, or wanting to buy them.
Maintenance costs alone.
I know. It's if you crash it. Yeah.
Don't crash.
Well, I guess I mean, those stays, the way the stays are, I'm sure they're probably structurally very strong in the directions that they were designed to be strong. But you knock one sideways, it probably just crack, and that's it. New frame, 15,000 quid.
Yeah. It's like what was it? Verstappen's barge bores on his car.
Yeah.
It'll last tens and tens of thousands of laps of any race circuit. At the moment that somebody brushes a wheel up against it, it's getting an impact in a direction it's not designed to do, and it's just going to fly off. It's absolutely right.
Yeah. No, very cool.
Yes.
Now then, moving on. So you were saying, again, if you listen to the podcast, it'd be a few weeks ago now, where we were talking about the perfect car for one of your customers who's a bit of a bike buying fiend. He's got some very, very, very
He's
nice
got some
bikes.
lovely, lovely bikes, and he's had some lovely, lovely cars. So as a little bit of a recap, because Natalie wasn't here then, and is not really a car person, if we're honest. But you'll have a go, won't you?
I know some BMWs because of Keith, obviously.
Yeah, well, you've got a BMW. Yeah. So
I understand BMW talk.
Okay, well, that's okay. Well, that's quite fortunate. That's quite fortunate, actually.
You'll see in a moment that works out quite well.
So, as a recap for everybody, Richard had an Alfa Giulia Quadrifoglio, which in Natalie speak
is that the alphabet?
That's the Alfa. It's really nice.
Okay.
Yes, it's really, really nice.
Yeah. It's a V6, lovely Italian car that makes a really nice noise and goes fast.
There you go. That's all you need to know.
Okay.
It's a symphony of Italian perfection. Then he had to sell that because his mileage for work was upping, and he needed something slightly more practical and actually something that he can transport his bicycles in. So we had a segment on a podcast where we were discussing what could the options be. And in fairness, Richard did say in a text to me that it was very helpful from Peter, your advice based on your Audi S4 Avant conversation. So he was looking between that and the BMW, and he has gone for a BMW M340i Touring.
Nice car.
Nice
Mega car.
I know what that is.
Yeah.
Mainly because Keith's eyeing one up, but I'm telling him he's been ridiculous.
Yes.
Yeah. Did he go for the X-Drive version?
I don't know, because it was a very, very fast text correspondence. And he's also said that he'd be happy to come on the podcast to talk bikes and cars. So we could potentially get the real SP on what the entire spec is. But I thought, we sort of left it hanging. He's now done the decision on on what he was going to buy. So I thought we'd just bring that to the podcast. So well done, everybody. Mega car.
And we did have some really good suggestions, actually. But yeah, I think when you boil it down, when you've got a certain quality of car you're after, and you need a bit of performance, and it needs to have the practicality, you kind of end up with a relatively small pool of things to choose from.
And I think it's the same with everything. I think whenever you're looking at something to buy at certain quality and price point levels, I think a lot of people think that there is a lot of choice of things, but there actually isn't, is there? You know, and it's whatever you buy, whether it's bikes or, you know, in this podcast desk that we've got here, you know, there's a lot of ways of doing a podcast with multiple mics, but actually when you look at a certain amount of spec that you're looking for, it actually usually boils down to a choice between 2, maybe 3 options. Fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I suppose it's like most things, even bikes. You know, I guess the interesting thing about bikes with bike choice is, I think it's even more the case with bikes than cars, is the almost tribal nature people end up with bike brands.
Yes.
And it'd be because we never really talked about it in that way before, but you do find that people hook into a particular brand, and they tend to be very, very loyal and pretty vocal about that brand. You'll have, I don't know, one of my mates is just massive Giant fan. That's it. He wouldn't have anything other than a Giant. Obviously, I was a big Specialized fan until I was my ways were swayed by you. But yeah, and then you've got the smaller brands, but they have, you know, a really kind of quite loyal following as well, you know, and
yeah, very
Just
much.
a good example is that. Never thought about BMW. It was always Volkswagen.
Yes.
Got a BMW as a rental car when I was in a training camp in Spain, and was like, I got another one when we went away on holiday. And he was like, actually, this is quite a nice car. And then he obviously spoke to you about it, and then we're even, not that we're getting a new car yet, but we're thinking about getting a different car. And he's like, well, what do we go? And he's just thinking BMW. So definitely.
Yeah, and I think what we always like when we're talking to customers, because we have people come in and they say, oh, I've had a series of Specialized, or I've had a series of Giants, or I've had a couple of orange, or I've had a couple of whites. We're always at pains to say that if you buy a bike or a bike component from a good quality brand, they're all better than we are. You know, let's be absolutely honest. If you know, Natalie, she said she had a Specialized Epic, which is probably the equivalent today of our Trek Top Fuel. Well, if you bought a brand new 2021 Trek Top Fuel or a brand new 2021 Specialized Epic at the same price level of those bikes, it is like the difference between buying an Audi A4 and a BMW 3 Series. They're all similarly priced. They're all beautifully made, and they have generally good backup from their manufacturers. So as we always turn around to people, is we will never, ever badmouth another manufacturer, because it's really bad practice to do so. If your local bike shop can't sell the virtues of the brands that they are selling and the service that they are offering, and they have to badmouth other brands that you're looking at, frankly, I don't think that they've got enough to stand on. So, you know, I mean, we always turn around to people and say, we deal with Trek, and we have done since we first opened. The brand of Trek is beautifully built, beautifully engineered product. But more than that, it is $1 billion company that is still family owned. You know, the head guy of Trek, John Burke, is the son of founder Dick Burke, who started in 1976. And to this day, Trek still offer lifetime frame warranties on all of the bikes. And their backup service is absolutely exceptional, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's brilliant. So it's really important. And
I mean, the other thing I was going to say, the other thing is, don't forget, we've talked about this a lot. You've got a Specialized and a Trek. They've probably got the same drivetrain on them, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of overlap anyway.
Yeah.
But I think your point about the after sales service, because there are obviously some brands that they might just have an internet relationship where you buy them online and they ship the bike to you, or you buy a smaller volume manufacturer, and then I don't know, move house or something, and you might not find a local bike shop that understands that brand.
That is very, very true. And the thing that people, when you read all of the sort of bike reviews in all of the glossy magazines or on or an online review, it's the thing that they never ever talk about. They'll always talk about, oh, this bike's got half a degree of extra seat angle, and this one's got half a degree of head angle, and they need to say something. And frankly, 85 to 90% of riders actually will never feel that difference. If we're all honest with each other. However, the difference that you will experience is if that brand doesn't have, say, for example, a UK presence with a UK headquarters for the manufacturer, which has got warranty, service, spare parts, and all of those things, and your bike is off the road for a period of months because they don't have the backup service. Seriously, guys, you will be affected by that a damn sight more than you will half a degree of head angle.
It's that living with thing, isn't it? It's that day-to-day thing. And if you're going to ride your bike a lot, you want to make sure you keep it in good nick. We've always talked about maintenance being super important. It's funny. I've opened my eyes to another brand that I hadn't really had any experience of. In fact, two. I've always lusted after Bianchi, but I'd never been lucky enough to ride one. And now I've obviously been riding the Arcadex, and just I love that bike, and can't wait to get my hands on the Ultra XR4, which is tantalizingly
it's tantalizingly close. And I honestly don't think, and I mean this genuinely, you've got any idea what you are about to experience when you ride that bike for the first time.
No, I don't either. No, I really don't. It's funny. I was doing quite a lot of driving last week, so I went back and listened to the podcast from the first episode, and I've been listening back through them. And it's really interesting to do that, because one of the things we talk about is in the bike fit one, we talk about we've ordered the frame, we got the frame, and then we've ordered the components. And you said something like, yeah, we were so lucky. We've ordered the components and we managed to we got the components. I mean, basically, Pete, we've won a watch there, because we've got like the component, and we'll have that within a couple of weeks, and we can build the bike.
I can tell you since last week I haven't booked in any of your stuff
in August.
So, No, I know.
Oh no. And then you did talk about in like podcast number 3 or 4 that we'll probably be stopped by a couple of bolts that hold the derailleur on the frame.
Yeah, I mean, so the bits that still haven't arrived is, I think, both derailleurs. I think front and rear derailleur, and I think literally the bolts that would hold the brake caliper onto the frame. So those are the bits. Other than that, we're golden.
We're good to go. But it was really funny. So no, I don't know either, and I can't imagine what it's going to be like, to be honest. In terms of just, I mean, the big difference I found. I don't think I've talked about this on the podcast. I changed my tires on my road bike. I went from 23 mils back up to 25. The difference that made, and I had endurance tires on there before, so not only were they narrow, running at like 120 psi, but they were basically made of rock. And just to go to a bigger volume tire and a softer, more compliant tire, the ride's slightly different. Different gravy. But the Ultra's got 28 mil tires, tubeless. So and it's got all countervail technology and all that kind of stuff. So I just can't imagine what the rolling feeling's going to be like in terms of vibration, but also just the rolling resistance and stuff. I still need to get fitter, but
No, but particularly somebody of your age, you're really going to benefit from that reduction in fatigue.
I was going to say you'll be able to take it off road, but no.
No.
It's going
Don't-
on the wall behind me, and that's it. Like,
Yes, don't do a back-to-back Arcadex Ultra feature.
No, definitely not. But no, so we are on a coming towards the end of our time, but we have got some days booked in the diary because I still haven't seen my rail yet, so I need to come and pick up the rail, and hopefully, fingers crossed, because that's not for another few weeks, beginning of September. Hopefully, at the same time, we'll have all the bits and we can build the bike. If not, we'll just have to come back up again. So it's
that'll be great.
So,
all good.
Very exciting. But anyway, guys, again, make sure if you've enjoyed the podcast, make sure you kind of give it reviews on all the various platforms and stuff. Make sure you subscribe if you're watching it on YouTube. But also give us some comments about what you'd like us to talk about. We are compiling all of the different bike stories that you sent us. So we're going to do that. We didn't do that this week because we just hadn't compiled them all. But we are going to do a kind of peddler's bike thing, which would be quite good.
Yes. I think it'd be nice, actually, Natalie reading those out, because she's got such a lovely...
It would be like bedtime with Natalie.
Yeah, it'd be like bedtime with Natalie. It would be like,
I'll send you all off to sleep.
I know, I was going to say there's Pete and Paul sort of zedding away.
Exactly. It's that kind of Scottish twang. It's gonna,
yes.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, it's lovely. Yeah.
I'm racing again tomorrow.
Oh, you?
Oh,
here we go. So
and Saturday.
Is that just running or riding or what?
Triathlon, my first triathlon. He's doing it too.
What distance?
Yeah. Oh, really short. So it's like 200-meter swim in the open water.
Is it worth doing
200 meters? I mean, genuinely, Natalie, you will do 200 meters diving in.
Yeah.
You won't actually need to kick your legs.
I mean, the good thing is you probably won't actually get wet.
No.
Oh, he's debating going non-wetsuit because he says it'll take me longer to put my wetsuit on than it will take to get it to swim.
Natalie does the most wonderful Keith impression all the day. You just have this monologue of Natalie basically chatting and then answering what Keith would say, usually in this like that. It's very, very funny.
And then is it a 4K bike?
Okay.
And then a 2K run. And then I'm doing the same again on Saturday.
Well, that's the same distance Tracy did.
Yeah. And I thought I got offered free entry on because we're doing Aviemore Triathlon in September, which is quite possibly the hardest triathlon I've ever done in terms of physicality.
Yeah. The hints in
that's off-road.
Aviemore, it's a ski resort, so it's going to be hilly.
Yeah, it's going to be hilly.
I'm English and I know that.
You see in Loch Morlich, which is freezing. It freezes over in the winter, and then
I was going to say it freezes over in the summer, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, not this summer. It's been really warm.
Yeah.
But,
well, there you go.
And then you go straight up this vertical hill, and then you go off to this off-road techie stuff. And there's this rock drop-off, and I've only ever ridden it once, and it's just so hard. And then you got to run up a hill to a mast. And it's lovely. It's enjoyable, and
you're just going to nail it, aren't you?
I'm doing it because Keith wanted to do it, and I felt bad because he was doing it. I was like, well, I better do it too. And he's going to feel really bad if I totally tank him, isn't he?
Sounds like it'd be easier just to do a Tough Mudder, to be honest.
Probably.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Well,
absolutely
there we
brilliant.
go. So people need to tune in next week to find out how you got on.
Yeah.
Well, exactly.
And
more importantly, how Keith got on.
Yeah, how Keith got on. Yeah, that would be good.
Keith beat you.
Yeah.
No.
But look at that.
Maybe might bike faster than me, actually. So short that.
Yeah.
Like he rides his bike every day. I ride my bike 3 times this year.
He is strong.
He is strong.
The
and it's
boy
so
is
short.
strong. Yeah.
And he's actually better than me technically as well.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
We'll find out next week.
Compare splits.
Anyway, so that brings us to a nice kind of end from a bit of a tech fest, bit of an Olympics fest, and good. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that. As I said, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel or Give us a follow on whatever podcast platform you are listening to.
Yes.
Share it with your friends. Get them to listen as well. And we'll bring more of this next week. But for now...
the more reviews, the more 5-star ratings, the more you share, the more this podcast can grow. It will be very, very much appreciated.
Sharing is caring.
Yes.
But for now, I've been Pete Greaves.
I've been Paul Bowker.
I've been Natalie Stewart.
See you on the next one, guys. Take care and ride safe.
Ride safe.